Hey guys, this is Jermaine Morgan, and you're watching Grooves and Motivation Live. And I want to ask a question before we get in today's talk. Is being a good musician enough, or is there more to it? And just hold your answer. Hold your answer for the comments, and we'll be right back in just a second. All right, let's jump right into this thing. And first and foremost, good morning. Good morning, guys. Sean Lewis, I see you this morning, man. Zion, Illinois is in the building. Appreciate you joining me this morning. And anybody else, as usual, be sure to drop in the comments where you're watching from. So, like the question again that I asked before we got started with this, is being a good musician enough? I mean, I coach a lot of students, and we're going to get into this playing thing. You know how we do it. But I coach a lot of different students and, kind of virtually coach by way of video and that kind of thing. And I get so many different bass players that are trying to learn this instrument come to me, and, they're trying to work on specific things as a bass player, which is great. I mean, of course, you want to build your skill. But after you get to that point where it's like, I'm solid now, what else is from there? And we'll deal with that a little later today. But, yeah, that's kind of the question, the topic at hand today. Is being a good musician, is that enough? Is that enough? All right. Who is that? Trey Williams, Cadravion. There you go. All right. Philly is in the building. What's up, man? All right. I see you guys. I see you filing in. So we're gonna start a little groove. I had this little thing that a little excerpt from one of my songs that I was playing. Just in case you're curious as to what song this is that I'm playing an excerpt from. The name of this song is Blended. And I'm playing around with it, looping it, and that kind of thing. But the name of the song is Blended. This is from my Grooves and Ideas album. This thing is 10 years old. Still feel good, though. So, all right. So we're going to jump into this thing. Here we go. Leo, what's up, man? Trey. I pretty much kind of go. With Bartolini for the most part, man. I haven't really played with a whole bunch of different preamps. I have recently started kind of trying out some stuff in some other places, but the main thing I use with all my basses is pretty much Bartolini stuff. All right, so I see some more of you guys joining in. So before I play a little bit, let me speak to some of you guys. Chris, I see you. And who else is there? Impulse Music, the British Virgin Island. Good morning to you. Vegas is in the building. Can't wait to get some more knowledge this morning. Glad to have you, Aubrey. Glad you're here, man. Oh, yeah. It's probably going to be my last time stopping. Probably not. So, real short disclaimer. So, my bass, my strings are dead as far as I would like to hear them, My strings are kind of dead to me. And here's the reason. I had to play this weekend, and it was like a type of gig that I didn't want my bass too bright, but I knew I was going to have to take solos and stuff like that. And this particular gig, I didn't want that real fresh string sound. So that's like the reason. I'm not because I'm being lazy and, man, you need to change the string. I'm going to change the strings. I'm just giving y'all my disclaimer because there's a certain sound I'm going for most of the time. But I think it's a little, my strings are a little dead. So that's why, because, I wanted to use the 6th string, but I didn't want the strings to be super bright on this gig that I played this weekend. All right. So good morning to you, Steven. What's up, man? Glad you're here. We ain't seen you in a while. see y'all. It's a great strategy. Impulse Music said the sound, the sound of the tone basically is in the fingers. The strings sound fine. I'm gonna read it right here in a second. Strings sound fine. The bass tone is in the fingers. I agree. I just, for me, I was trying to get it a little bit more Krispy Kreme, if you will. But I know I didn't change the strings before I got on here, so I was just giving y'all my disclaimer. I do those from time to time, but yeah, it doesn't sound horrible. But I know this bass generally has a lot more bite than it normally has right now. Hawaii in the building. That song that got some something on it. Let me take that to the Let me take it to the chorus. There's a chorus for this song as well. It ain't just the vamp. Um, take that melody out. I guess I could have went to the verse for that. All right. I really like this song, y'all. It got a lot of if you can't tell, it got a lot of I guess the word is soul and feeling to it. I wrote this song originally probably 12 years ago, and I released it on my Grooves and Ideas record in 2013. I want to say 2013, I think, is when that record came out. And so yeah, it's Brian Andrews playing the drums. Brian Andrews is on the drums on this one. Dietrich Listenby is playing the keys, the Rhodes and the keys. I got those muted right now. Brian Carson, a good friend of mine that just passed away in November of last year, he's playing the organ on this particular song. He has a really great organ solo, so y'all need to go and hear this song if you haven't already listened to it. Let me play this little section here. Ron James. Don't let me forget to say Ron James. Try it again. I gotta hear that saxophone in the chorus. I gotta hear that sax in the chorus. Yeah, Ron plays a beautiful melody in this song. Let's see if I can get him in this chorus here. Y'all bear with me. I'm getting excited. I hadn't heard this song in a while. Now I gotta hit a verse. I gotta hit a verse. All right, let's see. I'm gonna get there in a second. All right, we're just gonna let it play. We're gonna let it play. Let me go from a little further back because I want to hear the Ron solo now. All right, there we go. There we go. I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't gonna play this whole song, but it is what it is now. Remember this part. Come on, DJ. Ah, man. I done found a section. Hold on. Woo! I like that song. If y'all didn't like it, I did, so I'll take it. Yeah. So again, that song is called. If you're late coming in, that song is called "Blended." Of course, this is an edited version, but it's from my record, um, "Grooves and Ideas." You can find that anywhere online. Uh, what is it? I don't even know all of them. Apple Music, Spotify, and all that stuff. It's something you can find it. Um, yeah. So let's jump into this topic. I'm one of those people like I take the music stuff very seriously, and I'm affected by the music that I create. So it's like it's hard to not feel certain things when I do it. Not just my stuff, but it's like you're connected to the stuff that you create. All right, so let's go back through a few of these comments that I missed earlier. Um, so I gave my for the people that's coming on late and y'all wondering like what are they talking about with the strings. So I gave my little disclaimer earlier with the strings that my strings were dead, or they're a little more dead than I would like for them to be. But I only did that because of a gig that I played this past weekend. I wanted to use my six string, but I didn't want to change my strings because of the type of setting it was. I didn't want the strings to be too fresh. I know I can EQ them and do all that stuff. I'm fully aware of all that stuff, but I wanted the strings to have a more rounded, um, broke in sound. So I didn't change my strings purposely. So we're still dealing with that. I haven't had a chance to change them. I took all yesterday. And I said I need to take a break. It was a much needed rest yesterday. So all right, let's see here. Knoxville, John, I see you, man. Good morning to you. You said, what kind of strings do I use? Okay, so I use SIT power wound strings. I don't know if I got the actual box in here. I have an old box, but the box design is like black now. But this is the strings that I typically use. I use custom gauges, but I'm using SIT power wound strings. All right, so Douglas, I see you, man. Good morning to you. Stevenson, man, this sounds so good. I appreciate that, Steven. I was loving it. I was enjoying it myself. He said the organ is killing, man. Rest in peace. My good friend Brian Carson was playing that organ. He passed away last year in October. Yeah, I think it was. We had his funeral in the first week of November. I want to say. I think it was. Yeah, I want to say it's like the first week of November. But yeah, Brian Carson, rest his soul. He was playing an organ, monster, phenomenal organ player. I had the pleasure of knowing Brian. Man, I've known Brian since 2010. I've known him since 2010. So it was about 13 years that I got to know Brian, and I worked with him at New Birth for many years there. And so obviously we recorded a lot of music together. He recorded on a lot of my stuff, especially on his Grooves and Ideas record. He played a good bit on that record, and the journey he played some. Any of you guys know my album Groove Man? That's Brian playing that stuff on Groove Man, both versions of it. And so yeah, Brian, he was a cool dude, man. Really, really good people. Yeah. Uh, Everybody's talking about the organ, of course, man. That was the guy. Diane Parker says beautiful. Thank you so much, Diane. P. Santa Boogie says you can boil your dead strings, then put them in the freezer, still wet for a week, and save money. Yo, I'm way ahead of you, P. Santa Boogie, Doc. I come from the school of, hey, we ain't got no money for no strings, so we balling them joints. Way ahead of you. So I had been doing that for years, man. Since I've been with SIT, I hadn't done that as much, but I am very familiar with, very familiar with boiling those strings. Who is that? Diane says this is an excellent topic for this week. Okay, yeah, we're gonna definitely get to that. And who is this? Sean says, I'm feeling the vibe of that song, man. Thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate that. I need advice. I play in three bands in churches now, but every week I feel like I want to play more than the root notes and passing notes, but I'm maybe afraid, and I'm also not sure how to practice usefully. It's like I beat up myself every week about it. Diane, do me a huge favor. Go to my site and set up a coaching call. Set up a one-on-one coaching call with me, and let's talk about that. Let's kind of explore that in a coaching call. If you can go to my site jermaine.morgan.net, do the one-on-one coaching and set up a call. You could just do a one-time call, and let's discuss that right there. Let's dig in and let's get to the bottom of what's happening there. I'm very familiar with what you're talking about. I'm sure I can help you there. So, all right, let's jump right into this thing. So, the question that I have for you guys today is, being a good musician enough? Is being a good musician enough? And like the pastors do, for a subtopic, I would like to use, you have more in you. You have more in you. Y'all, I can tell you guys, well, first and foremost, once again, if you weren't here on last week, we did a thank you. We did a thank you Grooves of Motivation, where I just literally sat here and said thank you and answered questions the entire time we were on here. Charles said, man, them coaching calls work. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that, man. Charles is one of my vets in the coaching calls, and we literally just had one this past week. So I enjoy those coaching calls as well, with all my students and all whoever that jumps on there with me. So, and I don't say this a lot on this channel, but I do life coaching as well, guys. So you'll see a tab on the website if you go down the self. What is it? The self. Is it self help? I don't even know what the title of the. I gotta go and look at it. But anyway, you go on the site, you'll see something that says. Let me find it. I didn't mention it now, so now I gotta say it. Self growth. There it is. If you look at the self growth tab, you'll see life coaching, and I do life coaching calls as well. So if your stuff is not necessarily, you're like, I'm good on the music piece, but I do need some advice here, and I can help you there as well. I generally don't say anything about it here, but I'm saying it now, so now you know. So yes, I do offer life coaching as well on my site, so you can sign up for either the base coaching or the life coaching, and you pick. So you got to choose between one or the other. They're two separate things. So yeah. But anyway, so jumping into this thing again, is there more? Is there more you could be doing? I've been playing for some time now. I've shared that many times on this. I've been playing for some years now, and I had a goal when I was probably in my 20s. And it was like, to be better, man. It's like, I want to grow. I know I'm better than this. I know I have another level of my playing and all of this kind of stuff. And so I would push. And let's go back a little bit more. I remember being a kid, because as you guys may know, if you don't know, if you're new to me, I play multiple instruments like this. What is it? This guitar right behind me, and the keyboards over there, and the drums in the other room over there. So I do play multiple instruments. So growing up, I just loved music, and I played a lot of music. But I can remember feeling early on in my home church, my mom and I were playing, and I would play the keys, and I would just remember just feeling like, man, it got to be more to it than this. Not that I wasn't enjoying it. I had a great time playing at my home church, just a backwood Baptist church. Shout out to New Zion MB Church, Houston, Mississippi. Fun fact, the Pilgrim Jubilees, that's the church that they talk about. The gospel legend, the Pilgrim Jubilees, they come from my home church in Mississippi. So that's a fun fact. Me and the Pilgrim Jubilees come from the same home church. At least we never really crossed paths a lot, but we're from the same church. And I got a couple other home churches, but that was like the main one that I spent the most time at. I spent the most time at New Zion MB Church. Couple other churches down there. But anyway, so all that time I was playing, and I think we've always had a more charismatic type vibe. My family, my mom and my stepdad, we always had a more of a charismatic type of vibe to church. And so being in Baptist, which was a little bit more laid back, it was always, you're pushing and everything, and I was always interested. So I would leave my church and go visit other churches who would jump in just a little bit more. Because I was always trying to learn. I was always hungry to learn. I was interested in seeing what they were doing in their worship sessions and all this type of stuff. So I would visit the local churches in other cities to see what was happening. And I would always feel like, man, there got to be more to it. So once I moved to Alabama and I was going to school up there, I was playing at another church there. So the same thing, it just pulling on me like, man. And I'm going somewhere with this, so y'all stay with me. I'm just feeling every week after week, I was playing keys at that church. I was like the minister of music, so to speak. It wasn't an official title. I was called a musician, but I was doing minister of music's job at that particular church. And as I was there at that church, same thing. It's like I'm like, I know it's more to it. It's more to it. It got to be more to it. And that went on for years. And so I finally moved out to Atlanta and landed this gig at New Birth. I did another gig before I got to New Birth in Atlanta, and we'll just leave that one nameless. But I did. It was like no disrespect, but it was an AME gig, and I was feeling that same thing. Man, it got to be more to it than this. And it was some cool people, really dope musicians, but the same thing. I just felt like it got to be more to it than this. So I finally get to New Birth, and I get around these high level musicians, and I realize, oh, it is more to it than this. It's a whole lot more to it than this. And so I went from this thing of always being the guy that's trying to pull everybody else to now I'm the guy who's being pulled. And it's like, oh, okay, so this is what the more than this looks like. Okay, can we rewind back a couple of chapters? It's like, nah, you out here now. So, all right, you kept asking for it, so now you got it. So I get into the there's more than this mode, and it's like it's mind blowing, and I'm learning so much. I'm having to learn so much music. I'm overwhelmed, and I get to the point, I was there for my tenure was like 12 years there. So I wasn't just the bass player. I was also the music director before I left. And so it was a lot of things that I learned in that situation. And I feel like during that time, I kind of touched almost every aspect of being a musician that I wanted to touch, not just at New Birth, but just outside of those four walls of that church to other areas and playing in sessions and doing other recordings and playing live with other artists and this kind of stuff. I feel like I kind of got my hands wet or got my feet wet, so to speak, touching almost every area of music that I ever wanted to touch. And it was kind of like, okay, so where do I go from here? Like I've done everything I wanted to do, so to speak. And as I got closer to the end of my time at New Birth and transitioning, I was already doing this stuff on YouTube, and that was giving me an outlet there, playing out live with my own music from time to time, and that was pretty fulfilling as well. But it's like I still felt like something was missing. So it's like I started looking for other ways to utilize my gifts and my talents. And that's really where the bass lessons and all this stuff, I'm kind of giving y'all mixed versions of this story, but that's kind of where the bass lessons and all of this stuff took place. But the things that I started doing with speaking and all this kind of stuff, and this ain't all about me. I'm just giving you my story to give you context so you could see yourself in this. I'm just, sharing my stuff, my experiences with you. But that's when I started exploring, what else can I do with this gift? And I could tell you it wasn't the most, but one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done. And I talked about this one time before, is when I went and shared with, I went back to Mississippi and I shared with special needs kids. I did a whole thing where I went to several schools and went and shared with their special needs students. And the fulfillment that came from that was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Being able to see people respond who never respond to normal stuff, and they're responding to my music, and those kids, and they're having a good time, and those teachers who are in there with them completely blown away. They're like, they never act like this. They never respond to stuff that we do like this. And man, you don't know what this means for you to be here. And that really did something for me. And not only that, of course, when you serve at church, in meaningful ministry, let me say that it always uplifts you in that way. And anytime you're able to use your gift to encourage and inspire people, it's always uplifting. But I feel like if you're only settling for being a really, really good musician, and the spotlight is always on you, and it's always about how good you play and how good you do what you do, then I think you're missing some of it. I really think you're missing the opportunity to really explore. I don't want to say power, but I don't have a better word right now. You're missing all the power that you have in being a musician, all the power that you have access to in being a musician and being a skillful musician, how you're able to shift and change different things. You can change the mode in a room by playing a certain song. Think about that. Now, a lot of musicians know this, and they use it for manipulation purposes. I ain't talking about that. I'm not talking about manipulating circumstance for your benefit. I'm talking about using your gift to genuinely benefit and impact the lives of others. Is there more that you could be doing with what you have, or are you settling for low hanging fruit? Like I see so many people like, man, musicians, the natural thing. We don't get a Heisman or anything like that. Our thing is trophies, or being recognized by the Grammys or the Doves or the Stellars and all this kind of stuff. We look forward to those type of accolades because that's kind of the industry patting you on the back and saying, hey, um, you did a good job, and then you get recognized by your peers for the work that you've done. And it's like that instant gratification that you get from being recognized by your peers. And I think we all, on some level, desire that. But, and don't get me wrong, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with desiring something from some recognition from your peers and that kind of thing. But don't let that be the only thing you're going for, because I consider that to be low hanging fruit. I say it for the local musicians, we be looking for the amen corner or the woo corner. What is the woo corner, you might ask? When you play something and it's kind of dope, woo, you get that from the crowd. And most musicians look forward to that because that's that instant gratification. That's that instant pat on the back that I did something dope and somebody noticed it. Don't let it mess around and be somebody that I look up to and they gave me the nod of approval. It's like I'm on cloud nine, but those are low hanging fruit. Those are low hanging fruit. I encourage people, and I encourage my students. If you are one of my students and you haven't done this, this is something that I've always tried to encourage in my lessons. Go teach somebody what you know. Go teach somebody what you know. It's going to do a number of things. First and foremost, it's going to help you to retain what you've learned. When you teach somebody what you know, it helps you to retain what you learn. Secondly, it helps you to open up your palette to see how much more is available, because the more you share with people, the more you realize, wait a minute, I'm running out of stuff. It's like I need to study. I need to get into this thing a little bit more. I need to find some more things. Or it might do the opposite and show you how much you actually know that you didn't realize you were aware of. Like, man, I forgot that I learned that. Or somebody might ask a question that trigger something that you forgot about that you did like 15 years. Well, I'm talking about me, that you did like 15 years ago and forgot about. I was like, oh man, I hadn't visited that in so long. Oh, this is all this is. And you realize how the information you have and you've been working on it and working on it and working on it, it's now become easy for you. And so now when you can make that light bulb go off for someone else, it's like its own reward is right there in it. The reward is right there in it, whether you're charging or whether you're not charging. The reward is wrapped up right there in that. Or when you can use your gift. Now, I want to be clear about this, because many of us use our gifts and we serve our local ministries and all of that kind of stuff. If you're doing it to serve, be clear about why you're doing what you're doing. Now, I have to say this, because people will take, and I wasn't planning on going here, but since we're here, you have to be careful that you define exactly what it is you're doing. You define your intentions behind what you plan to do, because people will take your gift and take advantage of it just because you meant to do it out the goodness of your heart. Now people are starting to try to require certain things from you. And so you got to be really clear about what it is you're trying to do, okay, this is what I'm trying to do, or this is my intention here. And be clear about what you can do and what you can't do. When I'm saying that, because sometimes we do stuff out of the goodness of our hearts. And if we do it more than once, people get satisfied with what we just gave them or what we're continually giving them. And now it becomes an expectation. It's like, no, I didn't say I would lock me in for the rest of the year. I said I could do these one or two events, or I could do this one or two things for you. So be very clear about what it is you're after and communicate to people up front, so that you don't get burnt out, and so that you don't begin to get negative or cynical about stuff. And now you're looking, or you have an expectation, after you've done something so many times and people are looking at you like, wait a minute, I thought you were volunteering. All that stuff has to be communicated. Again, I didn't mean to go there, but as I'm saying all of this type of stuff, we have to make sure that we're clear in our communication and making sure that people understand the intention and the integrity behind what we're trying to do and what we are trying to offer with our giftings and with our skills. So, all that being said, you got to be looking for other ways because I can tell you, I mean, yeah, you're working hard now, especially if you're a beginner, intermediate, even advanced. Some of us, even as advanced players, once you get to a certain level of playing, you're going to get to a now what space. And what you don't want to do is get to the point where you hate music. I've been there. Believe it or not, I've been there to the point where let me rephrase that. That hate is a strong word. I didn't hate music. I got to the point to where I didn't want to do music and play music for anybody else. If I was going to play, it got to be on my terms because y'all doing all this politics and y'all doing all this stuff. I don't even want to play no more. So people will pull that out of you. That's why I'm telling you to be really, really clear about your intentions and what you're trying to do, what you want to do, that kind of thing. And it is possible if you are a musician, and I have many musicians who are doing this, they work 9-to-5 jobs with hopes of someday becoming a professional musician. Now that is very, very possible. If you work on the skills, you develop what you need to develop, it's very possible that you can land a gig that can replace your 9-to-5. But you also have to be thinking outside of the box. If you're planning on becoming a professional musician, period, that's all you're going to do, then you better think beyond a gig. Words to the people who want to be wise. You better think beyond that gig because depending on your area, your region, your location, that's going to have everything to do with everything. And sometimes depending on the relationship you develop, that might have everything to do with everything. And so as the economy goes up and down with stuff happening and prices going up, inflation, all this kind of stuff, people are still paying you the same rate for gigs, but your cost of living has went up substantially. Then your gigs and the cost of living ain't matching. What they say, your math ain't mathing. So you have to make sure that you're thinking outside of the box as a creative to create something for yourself. If you're trying to create gigs, you're creating your own gigs. You're not always waiting on somebody to call you for a certain thing, right? So you have to think long term in terms of your career, what you're trying to do. So I'm just trying to give some wisdom to you guys who are like, man, I want to be, I want to do nothing but play music. And I know I got older people who take lessons with me. And when I say older people, I just mean people who are like retirement age. And so who are ready to just kind of retire, live off their retirement. And I just want to play music full time. And that's cool because most people in that position have most of their priorities together. They got their bills kind of set where they need to have them. But if you're young, you're building a family and all these type of things, you can't account for all these incidentals, all this stuff that's going to come up that you don't know anything about. And so you might have a budget built, but your kids don't care nothing about that. It's like you have to really, really think about what it is you're trying to do, what it is you're trying to accomplish, and be really, really clear about that. But all that being said, at the same time, know that you have more in you. And I think once you begin to realize how much more you have to offer because of what you develop in your creativity, you will start looking at it from a broader perspective rather than gig, 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 right? I discovered me all along the years as I've been doing this as a musician. I went into it. I wanted to just do music. When I went to college, I just want to do music. I don't know what. I just want to do music. Went to community college. I majored in music, right? And so I went to University of North Alabama. I majored in commercial music. So that's dealing with more of the recording and the production and all that kind of stuff. I just know I want to do music. I have no clue what kind of money I'm going to make doing this or anything. I just know I want to do music. So I do that, get my degree and all that stuff. But now I'm having to find ways to leverage this. And we talked about all of that. If you want to know more about that, here's my shameless plug that I sometimes forget. Get this book right here, 10 Ways to Success, The Working Musician. I share a lot of this stuff in this book. It's available on Amazon. It's also available on JermaineMorgan.net if you want a signed hard copy. So I talk about all that stuff in my book there. But finding myself, I'm finding that, wait a minute, there's more to you than just playing the guitar, playing the bass, playing the keys, playing the drums, and playing for somebody's church. Dude, there's an author in there. You have an author in there. Yeah, you're reading all these books, but you got something valuable in there to say that people want to hear. Like, oh, really? Yeah, you do. Okay, but I don't even like reading books like that. We'll start reading books. So here's the thing about finding that stuff that you have inside of you. It's going to require you to get out of your comfort zone. A lot of people like to use the analogy from the caterpillar turning into a butterfly. You got to go into that cocoon and the chrysalis and all that kind of stuff. And there's a transformation has to happen. So that means you're going to have to pull away and guard yourself from some things in order to transform into that thing that you really want to become. You're going to have to go away. You're going to step away. And for some of you, I was going to talk about this, but I didn't name the live this because I don't know. I didn't really want to get too deep into this. But since I'm here and you're here and you're listening, some of you guys who are church musicians, you might need to take a break. You might need to take a break if the church will allow you the opportunity, or you might have to just find you something else to do for a little while, and you need to refocus because you can become so cynical in ministry that you're ineffective. You're so cynical because you've been hurt, you've been misused, you've been taken advantage of by church folk, pastors, leadership, you name it. You've been so just burnt out by stuff. You only go to get a check. And if I'm walking down your street, just say ouch. Or don't say nothing at all because we can read the comment. Just give a thumbs up. That way we don't know who you are. You can give a thumbs up if I'm walking down your street. But you've been so hurt and you so over church, you literally go and you get a check. I didn't mean to go here, but this is for somebody. There it is. I see it. You literally go to get a check and you go home. And you have developed this mindset. I ain't fooling with them. I'm going to learn my music. And here's the thing. Here's the sad part about it. You have a heart to do what is right. You have a heart to do good. You have a heart to help people. You have a heart to be a blessing to the ministry. But because you're so done with the stuff, and you fill in the blank for what the stuff is, you so done with it, you just show up because you're committed to God. You show up and you give your best, but you don't communicate with nobody. You go home. You don't fellowship with anybody. You don't want to really have anything to do with anybody. Look, I'm going to go and I'm going to give my reasonable service because I am grateful for the gift that God has given me, but they're going to get my check and I'm out. I've been there. And I'm not saying this to pick on you guys, but I have. Yeah, that does apply to people who are not even paid. That's very, very good, Latrell. Even if you're volunteering, sometimes it's even worse because you're for real doing this out the goodness of your heart. And because you're so over the drama of church. But here's the thing we have to realize. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, rules of the darkness, principalities. You can believe that or not. I know it to be true, so I'm telling you what I know. You're not fighting people. And I think once we start realizing that in ministry and all those types of things, you start realizing that you're not fighting people. People are dealing with stuff just like you. People come in there who are broken. And it doesn't matter how many titles that they have in front of their name or behind their name, .ph, whatever. It doesn't matter. People are dealing with stuff just like you are. And I think if we can start developing a heart of integrity and accountability, then we can be used in these spaces where we're hurt. We can be used in these spaces where we're hurt. There it is, Sean. We can be used in these spaces where we're hurt, but I feel like we get so burnt out and we get so just done with people being manipulative and all of these different things that we dismiss scripture. And we think scripture only applies to stuff out there, but it also applies to stuff in the church. It ain't just about coming to church and doing all this stuff and bucking and shouting and we in A flat and we going to the 3. It ain't just about that stuff, but it's about so much more. And when you start realizing that your gifting as a musician is so much bigger than a church, just for my church musicians on here, I understand that everybody don't do church. But when you start realizing that your gifting is so much bigger than just the church building, just playing your 3 songs and your 2 fast songs and your 1 slow song and going home, you know what I'm saying? Like once you start realizing that your gift is so much bigger than that, and what you do on this instrument is so much bigger than what you've seen, or even in the secular world, or even in just in normal world, as we call it, your gifting is so much bigger than you being able to play the pentatonic scale really well. When you understand that this is a tool, the gifting that you have is a tool, and you can use that tool to benefit the lives of others and to help improve the lives of others with your tool. Now you can start figuring out ways to serve people. Even if you don't play at church and do all the churchy stuff, you can figure out other ways that you can serve people with your gifting. And once you start serving people with your gifting, you'll see the benefits, you'll see the rewards that come from that. And it's like, it's not going to be given by the people. Oftentimes the rewards you get are not going to come from the people that you think they're going to come from. But there's a quote that I heard: your rewards in life will be in direct proportion to your service. What you give, what you receive is going to come in direct proportion to what you give out, the way you try to make yourself available, the way you try to improve on the lives of others. Again, doing this thing on my website in terms of creating these lessons, a lot of you guys who sign up, I don't know y'all from a hole in the wall, but I'm so grateful when I see you signed up for something on my site. I'm just keeping it 100. I'm so grateful for I see everybody who comes on the site and signs up for something, whether it be the monthly membership lessons or it be a course, or you come do a one-time whatever with me. I am so grateful for each and every person, because when I started to do this, it wasn't just for me to have a business, but it was to add value and to help improve the life of somebody else. So when I understood that, man, this is more than just bass lessons I'm giving here. That's why I changed the name to Coaching Calls. A student of mine rather, let me know a couple of weeks ago. They was like, I saw the Coaching Calls on your site, but I didn't sign up for them because I didn't know that they were like one-on-one lessons. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if you were going to give a video and just give a feedback, a video out. I didn't want the video. I wanted one-on-one with you or whoever, a coach or somebody, to tell me what I'm doing wrong. And so when they shared that with me, I'm like, let me go to the site and make sure that that's clear, that people understand, no, this is one-on-one FaceTime that you're getting with me. I'm going to actually be there in person. That's not a video, right? So if you're doing the one-on-one thing, so being able to share that one-on-one time with people and calling it Coaching Calls, because I understand it's like the common thread that I saw with most players wasn't a lack of ability. You know, it wasn't a lack of ability. Now, don't get me wrong. We all have to work in these coaching calls. I do give assignments. I do give, hey, you need to work on this week. You need to spend a little bit more time working, ironing out the kinks here and there, blah, blah, blah. You do need to work on your skills. We do cover all of that. But what I've understood in these coaching calls, a lot of times what you're dealing with in your plan has absolutely nothing to do with your skills. A lot of it is more mental. And so that's when I realized, like, no, you're doing more than just giving people lessons. And so lesson after lesson, I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing this common thread with these players. And I'm like, wait a minute. I see what's going on here, because I dealt with a lot of the same stuff. And so that's why I started, like, you know what? I do bass lessons, but when you come to me for bass lessons, you're getting way more than just a lesson. And any of the students of mine who are on here will tell you that it's like, there's been plenty of people. I literally had students, I will not name any names, but I've literally had students who've been on calls with me, and it's basically a counseling session, because there's so many things that people are going through privately in their lives, and it's affecting the way that they do what they do. It's affecting their ability to play. It's affecting their ability to think. People are dealing with self-esteem issues. People are dealing with so many issues. And all these things, principalities, all these things get in the way of you being who you are, you fully manifesting who you are. Because if I can get your mind, if I am the devil and I can get your mind focused on all of the things you're not good at all the time, if I can get you focusing on that all the time, then I can kill your witness. I can kill your potential to improve the life of somebody else because you'll be too busy counting yourself out. You'll be too busy saying, nah, I ain't that. Nah. You'll be too busy talking yourself down to be a help to anybody else. You'll be too busy. And let me say the flip side of that. I don't mean be arrogant, like I'm this and I got it. No, I don't mean that. But you do have something valuable that can help somebody else. They said, it's an old saying that said, the one-eyed man is king in the valley of the blind. Right? So you might be around a whole bunch of people. If you got one eye and you're around a whole bunch of people who got two eyes, then you might feel insignificant. But if you get around people who are blind and you got one eye, then all of a sudden you see that there's a lot of significance that you have in that relationship now, right? In this situation, you have a lot of significance. And I'm not trying to be dismissive or try to pick on anybody when I made that scenario. But what I'm trying to say, you might feel insignificant if you're always around people who are better than you. No, leverage that. Allow yourself to grow around these people who are better than you and stop telling yourself, hey, they better than me. Who cares? How is that relevant to what you have to do? Use that as fuel. I got to get there, or I got to I got to push myself. I have to grow. God has allowed you to be around people who are better than you, maybe to wake you up, maybe to make you uncomfortable so you will work a little harder. You dig a little deeper. Maybe you go get the lessons that you need to get in order to improve so that you can become the person that you were created to be. Prodigies aren't the only ones who have a great calling on them to do creative things. Let me say that again. Prodigies aren't the only people who have a great calling on them to do great things. Prodigies aren't the only ones. They just happen to be prodigies. They get it earlier. I wasn't a prodigy. Believe it or not, I was not a prodigy. I could play a whole bunch of stuff, but I had to work hard to figure it out. All of this stuff. Playing music did not come as easy to me as many of you would probably think. It did not. I had to work really, really hard. And so when I say stuff like this, I'm like, man, it's hard work, but it's possible to get there. But if you keep telling yourself the story that, man, if I could just get to, like, you going for low hanging fruit, if I could just get to your level, like, why? Why stop at my level? What if your level is beyond that? What if you got Victor Wooten level talent on the bass? What if you got Stanley Clark level talent on the bass? Why are you settling for low hanging fruit? What if your talent level exceeds a Victor or a Stanley or a Marcus or, you name them, Larry Graham, whoever your heroes are? What if your level exceeds those people's level, but because you're so mesmerized by their gift, you won't even explore what you have? And I'm talking to me. I spent a lot of years just being blown away by other people's gifting. Like, man, that's so cool. That's so amazing. Man, I wish I could do that. You can. You got to try. You got to try. I sent out an email. Yesterday. If you're on my email list, you got this. Or maybe you ain't opened it yet, so you need to open it. But the question that I asked in this email, and by the way, if you're not signed up to my email list, you can simply do so by looking at the description of this video. Join Jermaine's email list. It's right there in the description. But one of the things I shared in that, what if you could play like Marcus, Victor, or Stanley, something like that? And I know people will probably like, man, those people are anomalies, for lack of better words. Those people are phenomena. I'm not taking anything away from those bass giants because I know they, in their own right, like that's a whole different level. But what I am saying, don't dismiss the power of God with the talent that he gave you. I never would have thought in a million years, especially 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years ago when I was playing and trying to get better on this bass, I never would have thought. And I'm not even where I really want to be, just being honest. I'm not even where I really want to be on this bass. But 16 years ago, I never would have thought that I would be here. I would have never imagined, like, if I was able to fast forward in the future and somebody hand me a record and like, dude, what you think about that bass player? Oh man, that's pretty dope, man. That's you, like 10, 15 years from now. Man, get out of here. That's probably what I would have been on, because I wouldn't have been able to hear my potential. And most of the times we don't know what we We don't know what we have. It's like it's unexplored territory that you have. Think about all of this real estate you have in your mind to learn and to grow and to develop yourself, to develop these skills. But think about tying your shoe. You didn't know how to tie your shoe before you tied it. You didn't know how to drive before you learned how to drive. You didn't know how to ride a bike before you learned how to ride a bike. And now you mastered it some kind of way. All these things that you know how to do now, you didn't know how to do it before you learn how to do it. But when you learn how to do it, it's up to you how much further you want to take it. Kind of like what's the bike riding cats? Like we used to play it. I had the game of the bike riding game. I can't think who it was, but anyway, it was like a Tony Hawk Presents game. I used to play it on the PlayStation. I can't remember what it is, but anyway, people would do all these tricks and stuff on this bike, and you do the grinding and all this type of stuff. You get so many points for doing all these different things. Well, these are people who are not superhuman. They just decided to take a skill to a new level. And the fun, ain't gonna say fun for me because I'm playing the game, but they get hurt in real life. The thing that I see about these players, even on the game is realistic enough to show you that these cats do fall, that they do scrape their knees, and Matt Hoffman, there it is, Matt Hoffman. It's the Matt Hoffman thing, the BMX thing by Matt Hoffman. There it is. So it shows you that these cats do fall. They do hurt themselves. They do skin up their elbows. Some of them break their arms. They do all of this stuff trying to learn to do these tricks on these bikes. Now, some of this stuff, I wouldn't do none of this on a bike. No, sir. Especially being the age I am now. Maybe when I was younger, I would try some of that stuff. But being the age I am now, like, nah, doc, I'm good. I need all my limbs working like they need to work. So y'all can have all that half pike and all, whatever you call those tricks. You can have all that. And but somebody decided that because of their interest level, they realized, like, man, I think I got something here. Just go with me for a second. They realize, I believe, there it is. I believe I have something here. I believe I can do this. I believe I can become more than just a person riding the bike to the mailbox and back up to the house, right? I believe I can really do something with this. I see them doing it. I think I can do that. And so it starts with belief. Everything that I'm talking about today, the fact that you have more in you, it first starts with belief. And once you start believing that you have more in you and there's more to you than meets the eye. Come on here, Transformers. There's more to you than meets the eye. And once you start exploring that, now you begin to transform into something greater than you ever imagined because you didn't realize what potential you had in you because you thought you were just a car. You Bumblebee. You Optimus Prime out here and you sitting here acting like you a dump truck. Like there's so much, I'm being funny, but I got to give you a visual. There's so much more in you that you haven't even tapped into because you think you can't, or you listen to somebody who told you, nah, doc, that's only those elite people who do that. No, it's available to you too. If you want it, it's available to you. And so I'm just challenging you guys. I'm about to wrap this up. I've been on here a little longer than I wanted to, but I want to challenge you guys to see if there's more to you than what you've been given. See if there's more than that you can be serving to the world. If that's building a business in terms of what you do well, see what you can do with it. See what you can do with what you have. Start with what you have. Start with the little bit that you have. Start serving that to people and see, does anybody have an appetite for what you're serving? And now, once you realize that people have an appetite for what you're serving, find ways that you can improve on that. Stir up your gift. Find ways that you can improve that. Sean Lewis says, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. All things. There it is. I can do all things through Christ that gives me strength. You got to find what's in you that you're not tapping into. I'm saying this not from a person like, man, you just doing this and y'all don't know me. Y'all, you kind of know me. You kind of know a little about my story, but you don't know the struggle that it took for me to even get to this level of playing. and to be comfortable with what I do now. You have no clue. So I tell you from experience that you don't really know what you have in you. This right here, I'm just, I come from a place of gratitude. Oh, I got one right here. I come from a place of gratitude because I understand what it feels like. And this is for somebody. I'm gonna share this before I get off here. I understand what it feels like to always be that person you almost but not good enough. I know what that feels like firsthand. I know exactly what that feels like to be almost but not good enough. It's like I can remember trying out. I played tuba in band. I started in 6th grade and I played tuba all the way through college, up until my sophomore year. No. My was it? Yeah, sophomore year. That's right. Sophomore year, I played tuba. So I can remember doing band tryouts. I always struggled. Me personally, I always struggled with sight reading. That no matter how hard I worked, it just was something that was like an Achilles heel to me. I struggled with sight reading. For whatever reason, I couldn't get it. I could get the piece after a while, but just that sight reading thing, it was just feel like I'm looking at Mandarin or something on the page. It's like it would get me every time. So I would do these tryouts. My prepared piece, I would knock them out with that. My scales, like 3 octaves, I would knock them out with my scales, and we get to that sight reading piece, and send me down in flames every single time. Every single time. So I would go to tryout after tryout after tryout, and it would always be like, okay, you make callbacks if this guy gets sick. So like you the next in line for callback. Like, man, I couldn't even do callback. It's like, nah, you the next in line. So this person, I think one year I did make the callback, but I was like never the guy. I was always like the next guy in line. If somebody else can't do it, then you're that guy. I remember trying out for other things, and like we would go to these different colleges and stuff for these spring jamborees, because they would pick in their high school bands. They would pick like the top students in the band to go try out for these little various things. If you ever been in band, you know what I mean. So I would try out for all of these things, and it's like you always make the first chair of the B band or something like that, or third chair of the first band. You would almost be good, almost good enough, but not quite. I was always that guy. So I went through my whole life feeling like that. Like I'm almost, but I'm not good enough. Almost, but I'm not good enough. I'm pretty good, but I'm not good enough. Even in the music circles that I was in, I knew in most of those circles all the time that I was always the weakest link. I could play, but you're almost there, but not quite. I was always that guy. So I'm very familiar with what that feels like, not being the star of the show, not being the one that's being celebrated because you the jock, or you know what I'm saying, you the high school most likely to succeed guy. I wasn't that. So having all of that type of stuff, it affects you mentally, and it begins to set something in motion for your mind for the rest of your life. You start to think, well, maybe I can only operate at a certain level. Maybe I can only operate up to a certain degree, and that's my glass ceiling, and I should be happy that I got that high. No, break that junk down. That was high school stuff. Get over it. It's gone. It's over with. That was high school stuff, right? So even if it was college, that was college stuff. You're still alive, so that means you still have an opportunity. It don't matter what you didn't do good back then. You can reinvent yourself today. You have no idea who you really are. So I'm talking to the real you. Will the real you feel your name in, please stand up. Because this copy of yourself that you're presenting to the world is a fake. It's not the real you, and you're not presenting people who you really are, so people don't really know your full potential. I picked this up because I'm always shocked. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like, yeah, 50,000 followers. Yeah, that's great. To God be the glory. But I'm gonna tell you guys, just I get on here to be serious with you, and I get on here to help you, hopefully to move your life forward, because I wouldn't spend an hour and a half of my time talking to y'all if I wasn't serious about this. The fact that you guys, whoever you are, have purchased this strap and any other thing that has my little image and all this kind of stuff on it, it blows me away. And here's why. Because of all of those ideas and all of those things that I like I said, I dealt with all of my life, being almost but not good enough. So when I put this out here, I told the story many times before. I put it out there to just show, hey, I got a strap for this bass. I was having a strap made for this bass here, and I wasn't trying to sell straps when I put this out. I'm like, man, I got my little hoodies and stuff on the site that I put. I've been selling stuff, but like a strap, like that's a bit much for me. I'm like, ain't nobody gonna buy a strap. I just put it out there, and to my shock, people started purchasing the straps, and I'm sitting here like, wait, what? Y'all are actually like, y'all want these? And I was blown away that people wanted something with my logo and my, like, it's a difference to wear a t-shirt, but this on your base all the time. So that's what I mean when I say this. Is like, this is more expensive and it's something that you're going to have all the time. So when I started seeing how interested people were in this stuff, it blew me away. Not in a arrogant, proud way, but just I'm humbled at the fact. I'm like, wow, God, I'm shocked at how valuable you've made me. Right? Now we can do things to add value to others and add value to ourselves by improving our skills. And I know I've done that. But at the same time, I dare not take credit away from the one who is the giver of every good and perfect gift and all promotion. This is a level of promotion. And so all promotion comes through God, whether you believe it, whether you acknowledge it or not. It all comes through him. And so when I say that, I'm humbled by that. But at the same time, I also have to embrace the promotion that he gives. You also have to embrace the promotion that he gives. Now, if God elevates you to a higher seat, stop taking a lower seat. If he elevates you to a place where people now respect you, stop acting like a person that people don't respect. You have to elevate your mind. You have to raise your perception of who you think you are. Again, not in an arrogant way, but you have to raise it so that you can begin to see yourself how he sees you. And when I begin to see myself how he sees me, I operate like he sees me. And I don't act like I need to be sitting somewhere behind somebody. Right? So hopefully, anyway, I know this one was a little deep and this one was a little heavy. If this has been helpful, you give a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to this channel already, I encourage you to do so. You can simply hit that bell notification, hit that subscribe button, and I will really appreciate it. I get on here every Tuesday at 11. It used to be 7 o'clock, but I see more of you guys are online around this time. So I try to accommodate everybody's schedule. So yeah, if this has been helpful to you, be sure to leave a comment in this video, especially if you're watching in the replay. And if you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. I'm super, super grateful. So again, I hope this has been helpful. Let me see here. I missed some comments. Let's read a few of these before I jump off. Man, I missed a whole bunch of stuff. Jaquez says, so glad to be in the fam. Absolutely, man. Glad to have you, Jaquez, if I'm saying it wrong. All right. So I'm gonna slide on up because some of you guys were coming to some of the things I said earlier. So I'm gonna just move on. Aubrey says, man, I needed this today. I'm glad that I was able to give you something. Benjamin Clay, praise the Lord. Can you give me helpful advice for proper bass fingering while playing some songs? Benjamin, send me an email, Jermaine@JermaineMorgan.net. Send me an email. And is this the Benjamin Clay that plays guitar? Because I know of a Benjamin Clay that plays guitar. Phenomenal guitar player. So Charles Hardy says, I'm calling your whole name Charles. Yes, sir. You need an organ playing behind you today, man. This is a word. You are preaching, bro. Yes, talk about it, Jermaine. Keep up the great work, Jonah, Sean. But God, Latrell says, haven't even started playing yet, but love listening to you. Latrell, what you waiting on, man? What you waiting on? Come on here. Come on here, get signed up. Start today. Don't put it off. Peace, Santa Boogie. I see you. Sean is in it. Sean is dropping scriptures on here. If y'all need all these verse references to stuff I was talking about today, Sean has been dropping them in this chat, in this live chat. Let's see here. Super motivating. Thank you very much. Absolutely. Watching from India. India's in the building. Steven says, know your identity, purpose, and destiny. There it is. Cedric says, man, this is always right on time. Man, thank you, Cedric. I appreciate that. That's an interesting looking bass you holding there, Cedric. What is that? Aubrey says, there's so much within this topic I need to discuss via coaching session. Aubrey, you know what to do. Let me do this, guys. I'm going to put up both the links. I ain't going to trust y'all to go. I'm being funny. But, okay, I'll put up the base coaching link. And you can set up a base coaching session with either myself or Nate Holloman or both. I'm about to make that option available where you can do a lesson with the both of us. I gotta do it, but it's coming soon where you could do a lesson with both myself and Nate Holloman. And if you don't know who Nate Holloman is, simply go back through my videos and check him out. Nate is a monster. A monster bass player. I talked about him several times on this channel. Cedric says, I build these basses, bro. That's really cool, man. That's really cool. I can't really make out what all I'm saying, but I'd love to check that out. Cedric, put your website in the chat so people can check your basses out, man. If you have a website, put that in the chat so people can check your stuff out. Let's see here. Okay, I put the coaching. Here's the bass coaching link if you want to set up a bass coaching call with either myself or Nate Holloman. You could do it there. Base coaching, you can see the link. I also put it in the chat there, but it's on the screen just in case you're watching this in the replay. And so if you want to do a life coaching session with me, like Sean just said, man, there's so much in this topic that he wants to kind of break down, and that kind of let's jump on a life coaching call. Like I said, there's only so much I can share and cover here. And I try to cover a lot. I'm here for an hour and a half. But if you need something more personalized, let's jump on a life coaching call here. And this is how you can do this. I put that link in the chat as well. I thought I put it in the chat. There it is. Why did they do that? Took a second for it to show up. All right, here it is. Put that in the chat. So you can find that on the site, or you can simply click that link or copy that link and put it in your URL, and I will connect with you guys there. So yeah, set up a call if you haven't done that already. I would love to speak with you guys and make some time and to jump on a call with you. Now I am limited to how many people. If I get a flood of you guys, you just gotta wait. But I'm open, and I would love to jump on a coaching call with you guys. Love to chat with you offline. Absolutely, man. Send me an email, Cedric, Jermaine@jermainemorgan.net. I'll put that. Let me put that down as well. Jermaine@jermainemorgan.net. There it is. So you can send me an email there. Also, guys, if you're not, I make this available for my students who are monthly members. They can send me videos for me to critique their videos of their playing and give them feedback on their playing. If you want me to give you some feedback on your bass playing, that type of thing, or you want to get some feedback, send me a short video of you playing. Like it could be 30 seconds to a minute, and just shoot it to that email there, Jermaine@jermainemorgan.net. I'll be happy to listen to it and try to point you in the right direction of some things you need to do. And if from there, if you feel like you want to set up a coaching call or something like that, I'll be more than happy, either me or Nate, to jump on a base coaching call with you to help you in that regard as well. Jaquez says you can just use Quez. I'm not sure what you mean. Jaquez. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm late. I'm slow. I ain't slow, but I'm being slow today. Use Quez instead of calling you Jaquez. I got you. You use Quez. It took me a minute. I'm like, wait a minute, what are we talking? I got you. Anyway, y'all, thank y'all for joining in with me on this live today. I really, really appreciate it. More content coming your way soon. Be looking out for shorts and stuff like that. If you haven't watched my shorts, go and show my shorts some love. You can find them on this channel. I do have a video that I put out about a week or so ago that was a bass lesson. You can also find this on this channel. So do some binging of Jermaine Morgan bass lessons today if you have a little time. If not, I will catch you guys on the next live. I really appreciate all of you all, and I'm out. Much love.